The Vendorpedia platform is purpose-built to automate the third-party risk lifecycle with 3 core capabilities: assessments and due diligence, global risk exchange, and vendor chasing services.
Hello, and welcome to When World News Matters to You, Operationalizing Geopolitical Intelligence. If you're joining us live, our speaker is in the Slido discussion answering your questions right now. For audio-video issues, click the technical support button below. I'd now like to turn it over to Mae Nelson for the presentation.
Hello, everyone. Today, I'm very happy to have the opportunities to discuss how geopolitical intelligence can help you in cyber defense operation. First of all, let's look at an event that happened on May 12, 2019. On May 12, 2019, the government of the UAE announced that 4 commercial oil industry vessels registered in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Norway were subject to a sabotage attack off the coast of the UAE. Suspicion immediately fell on Iran, but Iranian authorities promptly denounced the attack and called for an investigation. News report about the attack speculated who was behind it. Is it a state actor? Is it Iran? And why did this happen? It is because, in the words of one of the headlines you see here, failed U.S.-Iran diplomacy sets stage for new spec intentions. Let's imagine a sabotage attack like that happened to your organization. What would you do? The CEO would likely ask the Chief Information Security Officer, shall we worry about this? What should we worry about? The CISO would ask the Security Operations Center manager, what are you seeing? Did you see any instance in our network? The SOC manager would ask the analyst, what are you looking for? Abnormal activities or any techniques, procedures from familiar threat groups? So, where shall we look for answers for these questions, cascading down from CEO to analyst? In today's talk, I would like to discuss how geopolitical intelligence helps to answer questions like this from various levels of decision-making in an organization, helps you mitigate cybersecurity risk. Geopolitical intelligence is an analysis of international, political, military, business, social, cultural contact, and the understanding of a threat environment. Geopolitical intelligence helps to answer what happened based on facts, not speculation. Who are the players involved? A state actor, a commercial competitor, or a cyber criminals? What are their motives? What do they do what they do? What are they going to do next? And when are they likely to make the move? Lastly, how is it going to affect your business and in what way? First, let's dive into how operationalize geopolitical intelligence to reinforce cyber defense. Geopolitical intelligence that I discussed today is under the umbrella of cyber threat intelligence. So what is cyber threat intelligence? Here, I have a very short definition. Cyber threat intelligence is simply information about threats and the threat actor that provides sufficient understanding for mitigating a harmful event in the cyber domain. In the definition, a threat is someone or something that exploits a vulnerability in a target. The vulnerability such as a software bug, or a weak password is not the threat itself. The threat is whoever who takes advantage of that vulnerability. Then we come to threat actors. Information about threat actors and their motivations, intentions, and methods are also a key component of cyber threat intelligence, because this is the information will help to reach the ultimate goal of mitigating harmful events in the cyber domain and protecting the critical asset of the organization. One popular model that originated in the military considered cyber defense with three aspects: strategic, operational, and tactical. This threat level would be better represented with a triangle or a circle because they are not hierarchical. At the strategic level, cyber defense focuses on developing ideas and infrastructure to achieve leadership objectives, such as a company's cyber defense and business vision, policies, strategies, and investment. Back to the sabotage attack scenario. The CEO would be asking, what should we worry about, because the CEO is responsible for the entire company. The operational level is centered around planning and executing strategies and operations and deciding how to deploy resources. For example, designing and managing defense team organizational structure, standard operating procedures, and practicing instant response drills. In the sabotage attack scenario above, the CISO trying to understand a pattern of the event would represent the operational level. The tactical level of cyber defense is built around planning, executing tasks, and engagements. In cyber defense, it includes crafting threat hunting signature and intrusion detection system alerts, block malicious traffic, and instant response and event analysis. The SOC analyst mentioned in the scenario above would represent the technical level. After understanding the main goals of three levels of cyber defense, let's look at how cyber threat intelligence drives cyber defense. At the strategic level, cyber threat intelligence provides understanding of the identity, motivations, intentions, capabilities, constraints, limitations, and the locations of threat actors and sponsors. At the operational level, cyber threat intelligence defines how much and what data to gather. For example, any significant calendar days we need to watch closely, and what threat actor TTPs are actionable. At the technical level, cyber threat intelligence focuses on adversary TTPs, indicators of compromise, such as malicious IP addresses, domains, file, hashes, and so on. In terms of the role of geopolitical intelligence, it informs cyber threat intelligence. Geopolitical intelligence can be applied at the strategic, operational, and the technical level as well. At the strategic level, executives benefit from geopolitical intelligence as they consider doing a business deal or setting up operations in a particular country, or as they reorganize in a changing business environment, as they decide how much to spend on cyber defense and other priorities. A geopolitical point of view inspires information sharing within your organization to connect the dots between seemingly separate incidents that might be caught by different teams, fraud, brand protection, and other security teams, but which might be carried out by a state actor. At the operational level, CISOs, risk managers, and other analysts and planners in organizations with mature cyber defense practice use geopolitical intelligence to calibrate threat models, assess the balance between parameter protections and proactive detection and response, to vet service providers and vendors, and develop practice to secure data processing, and the compliances depend on the on the legal environment. Geopolitical intelligence can also inform employee education program, for example, reminding us that there are nation-state actors and out there, as well as organized cyber criminal networks who can pull together seemingly small bits of unguarded information, social media postings, even down to identify military installations by a beer-rating mobile app. Many of you may be familiar with the matrix table mapping the stages in the so-called cyber kill chain to activities borrowed from military information operations doctrines such as detect, deny, disrupt, degrade, deceive, and destroy, aimed at stopping malicious activities at each stage that kill chain. Here is a slightly different chart of actor-focused stages, which visualize how cyber threat actors formulate a malicious goals and pursue it. And the chart identifies ways intelligence can help detect and stop them. In the following slides, I will give you some examples of specific questions that geopolitical intelligence can answer. So here is an example of linguistic and cultural clues to analyze a campaign. After the WannaCry ransom attack happened in May 2017, our team did an analysis of the ransom message in Chinese. We assessed that the Chinese language ransom note is not machine translated from some other language. The tone of the Chinese is colloquial and sarcastic, indicate of a person with native understanding of Chinese language, as suggested by the use of phrases such as 老天爷, meaning heavenly grandfather, and 以人格担保, meaning a guarantee with my personal reputation. So we also noticed a Chinese character typo in the ransom note. This suggests that the statement was typed using a Chinese pinyin input method, as pinyin representation of 帮主 is BANGZU, and those of 帮助 is BANGZHU. This arrow may point to the local origins of the writer. Speakers of local dialects in China's northeastern area of Liaoning, Jilin, and Heilongjiang provinces often mix up the sources, the sounds of a z, z, and zh. So this is enough for us to create a reasonable suspicion that actors behind WannaCry, or at least behind the Chinese language WannaCry ransom notes, may include people with native level Chinese language knowledge, who are familiar with Chinese online jargon, or who may have lived in China's northeastern region bordering North Korea. Geopolitical intelligence can cast light on the why question, the bigger strategy and motives that move states, strategists, and influence cyber criminals. Geopolitical intelligence can help overcome the cognitive bias of mirror imaging, that is, projecting one's own worldview, attitudes, motivations, and assumptions onto someone from a different culture. To understanding the motives of state-sponsored cyber operations and predict their timing and targets, we can adapt Karl von Clausewitz' famous maxim that war is a continuation of politics by other means, to see that cyber threat operations are a continuation of politics by other means. Cyber threat operations are just one tool used by state to promote their strategic interests, along with diplomatic, economic tools. cultural software activities, and military actions. Therefore, knowing a country's strategic interests will help predict when they might use cyber tools to disrupt and exfiltrate information. So how they might use for a larger goal, and how much damage they might inflict along the way. This does not just apply to state actors. Cyber criminals also are affected by geopolitical situations in that the political system and the strategic interests of the country where they live often provides constraints and incentives to the criminal activity. Here is an example of an attack by the threat group Sandfish, also known as Sandworm, against the Republic of Georgia, to explain why threat actors do what they do. On October 28, 2019, thousands of websites crashed or were defaced in the country of Georgia. The defacement involved the website being replaced with pictures of former Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili standing in front of a Georgian flag, superimposed with the caption, "I will be back." This instance happened at a time of tension over Georgia's relationship with the United States and NATO. The U.S. House of Representatives have passed the bipartisan Georgia Support Act on October 22nd, and the Georgian defense minister had met with the NATO counterpart on October 24th. The fact that the defacement message is in English was probably an attempt to portray Saakashvili as a puppet of the United States. On February 29th this year, the United Kingdom National Cybersecurity Center and the U.S. State Department publicly blamed the Russian government for those disruptive cyber attacks against the country of Georgia in last October. Following the announcement on March 29th this year, our team discovered that unknown threat actors have uploaded the entire database of Georgian voters in a closed-door Russian language forum for free, in what must have been another politically motivated attack against Georgia because it did not bring a profit for the threat actors. Geopolitical analysis can also cast light on when a cyber attack may happen. In the previous section, we mentioned setting up a mechanism to monitor significant calendar dates that cyber defense operations need to watch closely. This is because geopolitical events could engender disruptive and exploitative cyber threat activity. Here is a page from Accenture Securities' 2019 Cyber Threat Scape report. Based on the threat actor past behavior, we list the cyber threat activities that may accompany the key scheduled and unscheduled events. Occasionally, cyber threat actors ranging from hacktivists to state-sponsored actors conduct cyber operations on significant dates or the anniversary of significant events, such as anniversary of World War II victory over Nazi Germany or a country's Independence Day. Geopolitical intelligence help an organization navigate a risky world. Geopolitical intelligence is an essential part of preparing for strategic decision on doing business in or setting up branches in particular countries. It also helps executives assess the risk if they are considering acquisitions involving foreign parties, or if clients are considered joint ventures that could allow their data to be shared in foreign countries. For example, we have analyzed the cyber criminal threat landscape in Brazil, characterizing different categories of criminals and their ties with traditional organized crime, and pointing to a sort of Robin Hood ideology that legitimizes domestic targeting of Brazil's own rich citizens. The research assessed that Brazil's relatively weak law enforcement efforts against cyber crime and a population highly connected through mobile devices leaves the field open for Brazilians cyber criminals to pursue targets within Brazil. We also see that population has generally low awareness of cyber risks. The element of human fallibility could pose risks for organizations conducting business in Brazil. People, whether consumer and employees, remain the weakest link. Educating employees in security awareness and cyber hygiene should be a priority for business operating in that country. After discussing how geopolitical intelligence reinforces cyber defense operation, you may be wondering how to make best use of geopolitical intelligence may include in your cyber defense operations. Start with intelligence requirements. Here is a definition of intelligence requirement from a U.S. military doctrine. In cyber defense, in cyberspace, cyber threat intelligence requirements follow a similar concept. You need to understand your threat environment, business drivers, strategy, your critical asset, most importantly, your adversary. Then formulate requirements, questions to be answered by your cyber threat intelligence analyst to better decide your business asset, partners, customers, and data from cyber threat actors. Answer to this question will help you, your team, and your business leader make better tactical, operational, strategic decisions across the board. From intelligence cycle perspective, after issuance of intelligence requirements, then you collect data, analyze it, and disseminate the intelligence set results. Here are some types of geopolitical intelligence products and analysts could arise. An example of intelligence alert here. So my team's Russian specialist did an analysis about Russian internet sovereignty law and its possible cyber implications. Another example here is a Brazilian energy sector threat assessment. We include economic factors and geopolitical considerations in the industry threat landscapes. Other examples such as malicious event, global event. In the global event example, my team reported a COVID-19 outbreak on January 23rd this year, which was in the very early stage of the pandemic, which provide a starting point for us to look into related threat activities. After we learn about the greatness of geopolitical intelligence in threat intelligence, you may be wondering how to practice geopolitical intelligence. 4 key elements about practice geopolitical intelligence. Start with the geopolitical intelligence team. Hire analysts with cultural linguistic skills. Cybersecurity industry needs people with computer science degree, but also liberal arts degrees for the mission. In my company's geopolitical intelligence team, we have subject matter experts with doctorate degree of Russian history and experts with experience worked with Iraqi coalition forces. So educate your team on analytical techniques and discipline. Know your source. Interrogating the sources of information to assess whether they are believable, tracing back to find the original source in multiple languages if possible. Lastly, Coordination and communication are very important to improve intelligence product quality and the organization's cybersecurity posture. Here, I list some sources for your reference. Some of them I have referenced in this talk, maybe help you for your future study. This comes to the end of my presentation. So how to apply what you have learned today? I have some suggestions. This all depends on your current organizational structure and the individual cybersecurity maturities. You can adapt it for your needs. Thank you for watching this presentation. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you can reach me from the chat. Also reach me through LinkedIn and Twitter. Thank you.